Don't cross the government abortion complex. It's SkyWatchTV for Wednesday, January 27th, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. A grand jury in Houston, Harris County, Texas, investigating accusations that Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast was trafficking body parts from aborted babies, not only cleared the group of wrongdoing, it indicted the undercover videographers who caught Planned Parenthood officials on video negotiating for the sale of fetal tissue. This surprised the government officials in Texas who called for the investigation into Planned Parenthood. David Dalladen and Sandra Merritt of California have been indicted on a charge of tampering with a governmental record, second-degree felony. And Dalladen, the lead videographer, is also charged with the same misdemeanor he alleged against Planned Parenthood, attempting to buy or sell human organs. The videographers had posed as employees of a company that buys tissue and filmed their interactions with Planned Parenthood executives. Harris County District Attorney Devin Anderson, who's a Republican, said the grand jury just followed where the evidence led. The indictment against Dalladen suggests that maybe he went too far in trying to provoke Planned Parenthood officials into admitting that they were selling fetal tissue. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton have ordered their own investigations, and they say those will continue. Now, speaking of legal matters, former Texas Congressman Tom DeLay said in an interview earlier this week that friends of his in the FBI tell him that they are ready to indict Hillary Clinton, which could have implications, of course, for the 2016 presidential election. And that if the Justice Department refuses to indict her, these FBI sources will go public with what they know. Clinton is under investigation for conducting confidential government business on a private email server while she was the Secretary of State. Now, here's a detail that isn't really new, but it is possibly relevant. While Mrs. Clinton was at the State Department, her department had to sign off on a deal to sell uranium mining operations in the western U.S. to a Russian company, Rosatom. And it gave Russia control of about over 20% of the uranium mined in the United States. Now, uranium is considered a strategic asset, and so this sale required the approval of a number of government agencies, including the State Department. What Hillary and Bill did not disclose to the government or the American people is that while these deals were being consummated, the sellers, mainly Canadian nationals, contributed something on the order of $35 million to the Clinton Foundation. Just coincidence, I'm sure. The standoff between armed militia and government authorities in Burns, Oregon is now more than 3 weeks old, and it doesn't look like it's any closer to being resolved. The Burns Paiute tribe, Native Americans, have asked the federal government to stop allowing the protesters free access to the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, where they are holed up. The tribe is concerned that historic artifacts stored there may be sold to finance the occupation. Now, we talked yesterday about the rapid spread of the Zika virus in Latin America and the Caribbean. There are two new developments to pass along. 3 cases of infection now confirmed in New York State. Now, all 3 victims had traveled to places where the virus is spreading. It's not believed that mosquitoes carrying the Zika virus are already in the United States. It does appear, the second point, that the virus can be spread by sexual contact. This isn't proven. It's based on 2 cases where the partner of a person infected while traveling has contracted the virus. But so far, the CDC says that the evidence is too thin to justify a warning to all travelers instead of just for pregnant women. In Argentina, another problem. They've got a plague of locusts there of biblical proportions. Warm, rainy weather there in recent years has created favorable conditions for the growth of the locust swarms. They've spread now to cover an area the size of Delaware. Officials are scrambling to kill the locusts while they're still just hopping, too young to fly yet, but they're running out of time. Could just be days before the locusts are airborne. Last year, farmers in Argentina reported seeing swarms of locusts 4 miles wide and 2 miles high. And again, this year promises to be worse. The worst in 60 years is what they're saying. Threatens to devour crops like cotton and sunflower and to destroy grasslands set aside for cattle grazing. The possible discovery of a planet somewhere beyond Pluto is causing unnecessary fear. We talked last week about the discovery. Astronomers think they found a planet roughly 10 times the mass of Earth, about the size of Neptune, somewhere out there in the Oort cloud, orbiting the sun about once every 15,000 years. Now, as we've talked before, there are plenty of places on the internet where adrenaline junkies can go to get their fix, their morning cup of doom. And some are identifying this planet with the mythical planet Nibiru, which was more or less invented by Zecharia Sitchin and his followers. They claim it's going to collide with Earth and cause, well, basically, universal death. We're all going to die when Nibiru comes to call. 2 points. First of all, this so-called Planet 9 is 20 times farther from the sun than Neptune. So we have just a little cushion. But secondly, and more importantly, if and when so-called Planet Nibiru or Planet X decides to travel through the inner solar system and disrupts our orbit, causing widespread devastation and destruction, there's good reason to believe that God has this under control. Gil Broussard has done some excellent work on this, and for a really good analysis of the topic, check out the book Planet X, The Sign of the Son of Man and the End of the Age by Doug Elwell. No need to fear. Now, the International Olympics Committee, looking ahead to the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro, has bowed to the wishes of social justice warriors. The IOC earlier this week announcing that beginning with this year's Games, transgender athletes will be allowed to compete without being required to undergo gender reassignment surgery. They will have had to be undergoing hormone treatments, but the IOC says that these new guidelines are not hard and fast rules or regulations, just recommendations for the various national athletic organizations. They're calling this a living document that will be subject to review in light of any scientific or medical developments. In other words, like much of the world today, the IOC is planting its principles firmly in midair. Now, setting aside the fact that this is just another example of the war by the God of this world against God's design for humanity, God's creation, the logic of this announcement escapes me. Look, regardless of how one feels inside one's head about one's gender, the facts are these. Biologically, physiologically, there are some very clear differences between men and women. On average, men are about 10% larger than women. We have about 30% more upper body strength on average. Our blood contains about 20% less water, which means we have a higher concentration of red blood cells. And the lungs of women, on average, have about 30% smaller capacity than the lungs of men. So when a man jogs at about half his capacity, a woman has to jog at about 70% capacity just to keep up. Fundamental physiological differences. Now, this point was made in a very stark manner this past June. A transgender MMA, mixed martial arts athlete named Fallon Fox absolutely obliterated a female opponent. A first-round TKO. Fox's opponent suffered a concussion, broken eye socket, and said that she was just absolutely overwhelmed. It was discovered in 2013 after a string of 5 consecutive first-round knockouts that Mr. Fox had not disclosed his sex change operation, which he had back in 2006. Again, this just illustrates the point. Men fundamentally are bigger, stronger, and process oxygen, send oxygen to our muscles more efficiently than women, and allowing a man, whether he considers himself a woman or not, to compete against women athletes is ludicrous. Regardless of how you feel about the issue, the transgender movement, the Olympic Committee has just divested the games of any remaining shred of integrity the games may once have had. A quick TV mini review. I watched the premiere episode of the new Fox series Lucifer last night. DVR'd it Monday night so I could fast forward past the commercials and any objectionable parts. Now, of course, the entire premise of the series is objectionable. Lucifer is portrayed as a nightclub owner in Los Angeles. He's bored with overseeing hell and has decided to enjoy time on earth. He's presented as a sympathetic, witty, charming, attractive character, which is no doubt true. We're told in the Bible that even Satan can present himself as an angel of light. And the show is well done. The writing is pretty good, acting is good, and that's the whole point. The prince of the power of the air is using the technology available to him to mainstream the idea that the accuser, Satan, is a sympathetic character, just misunderstood. Now, I've seen a number of comments around the web from Christians expressing shock that Fox, which for some reason they considered a family-friendly network, would air such a program. To which I just have one question. Have you not been paying attention? Fox is not now, nor has ever been, a particularly family-friendly network. Maybe it's because we're conflating Fox Entertainment with Fox News, but even Fox News really isn't conservative in the truly biblical sense. This character, Lucifer Morningstar, the star of this new series, is based on a DC Comics character that's been around for more than 25 years. This is not a new character. It's just people who aren't comics geeks like me never noticed before because we just don't read comic books anymore. The character in the DC Comics, by the way, was portrayed as looking somewhat like David Bowie, which was intentional. And by the way, if you noticed in the series Monday night, if you happen to watch it, in the very first scene where Lucifer enters his nightclub, they're playing David Bowie's song, Fame, a little tribute to Bowie, who just recently passed away at the age of 69. Anyway, bottom line here, Lucifer trying to sell the idea that the devil is just misunderstood. The takeaway, of course, is that we should never, ever count on mass appeal, advertiser-driven television to uphold biblical morals. Now, the supernatural realm is real, and if we really want to understand what it's about, we need to dig into the Bible. And there's an aspect of the supernatural conflict that's been going on since the beginning of time that we're often not taught in church. And this is the concept that God is one of many small g gods. God, of course, capital G God. He is the creator of all. These others are created beings. It's called the divine council paradigm. And we discussed that last night on SkyWatch TV with Dr. Michael Heiser as we talked about his new book, The Unseen Realm. Understanding the divine council is key to understanding the biblical narrative and the spiritual war that goes on around us. If you missed it last night, you can see it now on the SkyWatch TV Roku channel. You'll also see it later this week on the SkyWatch TV channel on YouTube. And links to both of those are posted at skywatchtv.com. January is drawing to a close, but we are still offering, while supplies last, this gift to you for your gift of any amount during the month of January, the Miracles Journal and this really attractive wooden bookmark. Again, our gift to you for your gift of any size. We depend on your support and we truly appreciate it. Instructions on how to donate posted at skywatchtv.com. You'll find us on the interwebs here. And of course, you can help us by clicking share or like or subscribe in the case of the YouTube channel so that you are aware every time we update something on the web. And of course, if you share those with your friends, we sure appreciate that because it helps get the word out. And when I feel motivated to write or pontificate, I post here, Twitter, Facebook, my website, and my email address for your comments and suggestions. Always open at dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. We thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.